Hi, welcome back, you beautiful souls. I am sorry about this. I'm on new sleep medication because of insomnia, and I kind of fell asleep and just woke up about an hour and a half ago. I got part 4 of What If Izuku Midoriya was born female and had hyperadaptation. So, where we last left off, this What If, he's like Sakura and Katsuki had met with All Might. They had trained for a few hours, and then Sakura gets a text from Shoto, and she kind of blushes, and Katsuki notices this, and they had already said goodbye. Well, they were in the process of like saying goodbye to All Might, which they do, and then Sakura and Katsuki are off to meet Shoto. And a little conversation on the way there is between Sakura and Katsuki goes like this. So, like, you sure, like, I'm sorry, Sakura, but like, I can't trust a guy who has a parent like that. And this kind of annoys Sakura a little bit because she's like, man, if you knew what my grandfather was like, you wouldn't be saying that. But she just kind of brushes it off. So they get to where they were going to meet Shoto. Like, Shoto basically asked her out for like some tea or coffee just to kind of talk. And once they get to the area, they hear, hey, over here! And Sakura turns ahead and sees Shoto like waving. And then when he sees Katsuki, he gets a little grumpy. And once they get there, like, he looks at Sakura and says, I thought you were coming alone. And this is when Sakura looks at Katsuki and she looks back at Shoto and she's like, oh, well, this bonehead basically grabbing, like, Katsuki's head and giving a little bit of a knuckle sandwich, introduces him. It's like, this is Kachan. He's like my older brother. Like, ever since we were kids, before a certain incident, and I was gone for years, he always looked out for me. Because, like, his quirk came in really early. Like, and I was still quirkless at the time. And Katsuki kind of tinkles up at this a little bit. And Shoto's like, oh, I see. So they have like coffee and tea, and Shoto basically explains that he's sorry how he behaved the other day when they ran into each other. And he's been looking at Katsuki for a good minute, and then he says, well, I just wanted to apologize, Midoriya. Usually people, like, see my scar and then they really go in about my dad, but you didn't really do that, and you didn't deserve to be treated like that. I'm sorry. And Sakura kind of smiles and says, there's nothing to worry about, Todoroki. And a few heads turned, and Shoto's like, can you guys just call me Shoto? I don't like people. And Sakura's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. And so now, like, so they say their goodbyes, and Sakura makes it abundantly clear to Shoto that he doesn't have anything to worry about with her. Like, it wasn't anything too big, and she apologized for, like, staring at his hair and making him feel uncomfortable. So now we're going to skip about 2 months. 2 months on. Like, 2 months pass after like them meeting up with Shoto. So this is about 2.5 months into the 10 months. So Sakura and Katsuki kind of arrive, and they see All Might like sparring with a blonde-haired boy, and they basically run up, and All Might kind of stops, and Sakura's like, "Is this the guy, All Might? Is this the one does he already have?" And because Sakura, she kind of does like fighting a little bit. Like she kind of has like the Goku complex, but more so that if she fights someone, she wants to have like a good fight. Like she wants to have fun with it, because she really fell in love with martial arts that her grandfather had taught her. So we're at 6 minutes. Yeah, I can do that. So the introductions are made. Sakura basically is asking Mirio, like, so what's your quirk? And then Mirio looks at her and is like, well, it's permeation. And Sakura's eyes just go wide, and she's like, dude, that's amazing. Like, I've never heard of that quirk before. Like, what can you do with it? And he basically says, how about we have a sparring match? And Sakura looks over at All Might, and All Might's just grinning, and just gives like a head nod to like it's okay. And he basically says, don't hurt each other. And Sakura's like, come on, All Might, like I was gonna go easy on the kid anyway. There's no reason to say that. God, now you've ruined my plans. And then she gets into her stance and faces Mirio, and she's like, are you ready for this? And then, like, All Might says go, and it looks like Mirio's kind of melting. But then his clothes are just sitting there, and, well, he goes to come up, and right before he can make contact with the back of Sakura's head, he gets kicked in the jaw by Sakura and knocked back. And she's like, wow, that's a pretty amazing quirk you've got there. And she turns to All Might and just kind of smiles. And Mirio stands up, and then Sakura kind of blushes and turns around, and then Mirio looks down and he runs over to his clothes and she's like, I'm sorry, I forgot to wear. And Sakura's like, it's fine, just put some underwear on at least. And so after Mirio had gotten dressed, like, Sakura's kind of laughing. It's like, so like that's the detriment to your quirk, I see. And Mirio's like, yeah, clothes kind of fall off me unless they're enhanced with like my hair follicles, like my hero suit, but it took a lot of money to make my hero suit. And Sakura's a little curious about this, and she's like, so your hero suit, like, you're a second year right now, right? And Mirio's like, yeah, I am. And this is when Katsuki's eyes go a little wide. He's like, what? Wait, you go to UA? And Mirio's like, yeah, I've been working on my court control. I still have some ways to go, and I also have, like, looking over All Might. And both Katsuki and Sakura say, oh, we already know about that. You're going to be a successor, right? And Mirio's just, like, surprised. And then he's like, wait, are you two? And, like, they both said, yeah, we were offered it. Well, I was offered it, but then I said, my, like, Kachan over there, he should get it. And then he said he wants to beat me with his own power. So, wait, you already... And Mirio's like, yeah, but that's why I'm having a hard time with my quirk. I didn't have it under control, but with the boost from, well, that, and Sakura's like, okay, well, I may be able to help out with that. But I really am pressed for time. I do have something else planned for today. And All Might asks Sakura's like, young Midoriya, what do you have planned for today? And Katsuki just says she has a date. And Sakura kind of starts blushing again. And All Might's like, oh, well then I guess we'll see you tomorrow then? And Sakura's like, yeah, definitely. And she turns to Miriam and she's like, hey, this may seem weird, but do you mind going buzz cut for a while? I know someone that might be able to help you out with your whole civilian clothes thing. And Miriam's like, really? You do? And she's like, yeah, I kinda know someone that's good at making support items. But I seriously gotta go. I'm sorry. And Sakura basically jumps off. Jumps to, like, where Katsuki's singing, picks up her bag, and then, like, jumps off again. And All Might kind of, like, is looking at this, and Katsuki's like, yeah, it's kind of harder for me to believe All Might. Like, she wasn't ever that strong when we were little kids. And All Might just kind of laughs a little bit, and it's like, well, you two, we're going to be working on finishing cleaning up this beach. You guys still have a little bit, like, to go. And Miriam, my boy, me and you, we're going to work on your quirk control a little bit more after this. And so that whole thing's going to happen. So now we cut over to Sakura. She lands at this park entrance. So now we're going to do a flashback to last week. So Katsuki's like getting off the train and everything, and he's like, yo, Shoto, what's up? And Shoto basically walks up to him and is like, sorry to pull you out here so late, man. It's all cool, dude. What's up? Well, I wanted to ask Sakura out, man, but I'm not sure she likes me. And Katsuki kind of, like, laughs a little bit. And he's like, dude, like, just ask her out. But aren't you two dating? And this is when Katsuki, like, starts laughing. And he's like, dude, she's like my little sister. And, well, I'm just saying, you should just ask her out, dude. Like, you'd be surprised about the answer. And he's like, wait, does she? And Katsuki says, well, I'm not going to answer that. So, is that all you wanted? And Shoto's like, yeah, basically. It's like, how about we go lift some weights? Like, there is a gym over there, like a couple streets over. So, that day they eat in, and Shoto asks a bunch of things like what Sakura likes and, like, everything, because Katsuki really would know more about her than Shoto, honestly. Even though they pretty much have gotten, like, Katsuki only knowing her really, like, her now for a few more months than Shoto. But now we cut back to the present. Sakura enters the park and she meets up with Shoto, and she's like, Shoto, you're here early. Yeah, I wanted to make sure I was here on time, and yeah, sorry for asking you to a place like this, but it's part of why I wanted to have a date. And Sakura's looking down, like, a date with you. In any case, can you hold this real quick? basically, like, shoving, like, her bag, and Sakura just jumps up in the air, throwing, like, her collar to Shoto, because it does have, like, some significant value to Sakura, because it has, like, a photo of her mom and dad and, like, the pendant that's on it. And Shoto, like, and then Sakura just goes sploosh right into the active volcano. And Shoto starts screaming, thinking his crush just committed suicide and everything. And nobody's, like, nobody's really around, because this is kind of a private park. Well, it's open to the public, but it was closed for the day. Sakura making a few phone calls to her grandfather and him pulling a few strings. And this is when Shoto's, like, turned around, and he's shouting for help, and then he hears, Shoto, can you help a girl out with the changing room? And he turns around and he sees lava coming off of Sakura, and then, like, it starts coming off of her chest, and he immediately puts up a wall, and he's like, I'm sorry, I didn't look. And she says, it's fine, can you just hand me my bag? And Shoto does. Sakura gets changed into a outfit. In one moment while I pause this, she gets changed into a t-shirt, and no, I don't know who the original artist of this, but if you do find him, please do let me know so I can give a link in the description of this video and a current video. So that being said, Sakura, like, changes over into a t-shirt and basically is holding a sign, and she's like, all done. And Shoto turns around and he sees a sign that says free hugs. And so Shoto runs up to her, hugging her. He's like, why'd you do that? You know I'm scared of... And Sakura basically says, I'm sorry, it's the only way I could think of to get you over that. See how close you are? And Shoto looks down and sees, like how close they are to, like, lava, and he's, like, jumps back a little bit, and Sakura's like, can you help me put that on, because I took a lot to adapting to that, and I'm fairly certain I'm fireproof now. I was already somewhat fireproof, but I'm pretty sure I can take a lot more. So, is it actually recording? Yes, it does. So Shoto, like, does go to help out, and I would say the type of shirt she's wearing is kind of like the one that's like underneath this coat, where it's just like two, like, small straps at the top. And Shoto, like, when he's putting it on, sees, like, her shoulder and basically goes to touch it, and Sakura kind of jumps back, and she's like, oh, I'm sorry, it's just... Yeah, that's what me and Kachan, we got into it when our quirks first manifested. Well, his quirk has already manifested and mine hadn't yet, and, well... and still have this from this. And Shoto's like, and you still hang out with that kid? And Sakura's like, yeah, he's family, you know? Like, no matter what family does, you still kind of have to, like, you don't have to like him, but you don't have to forgive him, but you still do kind of have to love him. And she looks at Shoto, and it's like, It's like you and your fire side, you refuse to use it, and from what I've been able to gather, it's because your dad did that to you, didn't he? Like, kind of looking at the right side of his face, because I'd say it's on his eye side this time and not his fire side, because his dad was disgusted that Shoto refused to use his fire side and was mad one day and burnt his cold side, like the side that his cold comes out of. So Shoto's like, I never forgive that guy. And she just kind of says, well, that's on you, man, but, like, that quirk of yours, it's pretty amazing. Like, you have ice and fire. My quirk's stupid, really. Like, I can adapt to survive. And Shoto's like, your quirk's not stupid, but is that why you always wear baggy clothing? Kind of pointing to, like, her shoulder. And it's like, yeah, I kind of asked, I called in a favor to kind of have the part closed off today. I'm sorry I pulled that little stunt with you, like, basically bowing to him. And Shoto kind of walks over and lifts her up. And he's like, well, I wanted to ask you out on a proper date, and I didn't know how to say, but Koski, like, suggested that we go to a park, but then, like, you mentioned this place, I got freaked out, and it literally took me 2 hours to actually come into this place. And that's why I'm here early. I wanted to make sure that I was actually here, and I just, like, I think you're cute, you have a good personality. And he looks up, and Sakura's kind of blushing, like, really bad. And he's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to embarrass you. And Sakura's like, it's okay, what? And her mind kind of breaks a little bit, because she's thinking, like, he's really cute, and then, like, what he was saying kind of made her brain, like, fizzle out, basically information overload. And Shoto kind of walks over to her, and he's like, Sakura. And Sakura comes to him, and he's like, well, why would you say all that? I'm nobody, I'm not that cool. And Shoto kind of, like, says, well, you are to me. And this is when Sakura, like, composes herself. It's like, well, I'm not going to date someone that only uses half their quirk. And Shoto kind of looks sad at it. And Sakura's like, you do not, like, it doesn't mean that I don't want to date you. It just means if you're going to hold back, I don't want to date someone that holds back when they don't have to. And this kind of agitates him. And, like, the right side, or no, yeah, the left side of his, yes, the left side of his body, like, starts to engulf in flames, and Sakura kind of smiles, and Shoto's like, you think it's a joke, don't you? Oh, everyone always thinks about my old man. They never, like, ask how I'm feeling. And this is when Sakura basically walks up, grabs his hand that is on flames, and basically kisses him on the lips and says, that's why I wanted you here, Shoto. I'm concerned about you. It took a while for me to get over the fact that I have my grandfather's quirk. And, well, you're cute, and I don't want you to, I want you to, like, turn out like your dad, like, filled with remorse, because I'm pretty sure, like, he feels that, but I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. And this is when Shoto kind of looks down at his hand, and it's on flame, and Sakura's, like, holding it in. He jumps back away from her, and he's like, I'm sorry, I didn't want to burn you. And this is when Sakura kind of pops out her hand and says, "See, look, nothing's hurt." And so Shoto begins to, well, he's like, "So, what now?" And Sakura's like, "Well, friends, I've never done this before." And Shoto's like, "Yeah, me neither." And this, like, we cut to a couple hours. They did have, like, some food, like a couple of bento boxes that Sakura had been carrying. Nothing that would perish, but, like, say, fruit and stuff like that. And, like, some kimchi, so, like, that would be good, like, a couple of hours, like, unrefrigerated. But in any case, they have a freaking volcano there, and Sakura, like, did bring some unprepared stuff, and they made, like, a fire, and she's like, "Shoot, I forgot matches." And Shoto looks at her, and it's like, you didn't forget matches. You were expecting me. And Sakura's like, "I'm sorry. I had so many ways to, like, try to get you to use your fireside. I'm sorry." And Shoto's like, "It's not a problem." And he kind of closes his eyes and, like, clicks his finger, and then, like, there's a flame, and he puts it to, like, the charcoal and everything. So they cook some meat up, throw it in with some of the rice that had been prepared, that was being kept hot in a heater-like device, and they have, like, a nice, like, lunch. And afterwards, Sakura, like, asks Shoto, is like, "So do you want to train with me? Because, like, I can." You do seem like you have, like, a really good control of your eyesight, but you haven't really trained your fireside much, have you? And Shoto's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, I..." And this is when Sakura basically, like, walks up to him and gives him a hug, and it's like, "It's fine. I'm sorry I pushed you. If you don't want to see me again, like, that's fine, but I really want to see you. And I really would want to train with you because, well, Gajan, he's getting some training, and I don't think I can. It would be better if I wasn't there. Because I don't want to learn everything that he learns. I want to, like, work more on my martial arts. And, well, with me basically being fireproof, you can use your fire quirk without being afraid of hurting someone." So, like, Shoto, like, thinks for a couple of minutes. He's like, "Can I think about this? This is all so much, so fast." And Sakura, like, smiles and does have, like, a tear, like, come down her cheek, because she's thinking she may have just ruined things completely. Then Shoto, like, walks back over to her because they were cleaning up, and basically wipes the tear off her face and kisses her on the forehead. "I'm not mad at you. I seriously have to think about this. I am upset. It's just..." Sakura smiles and says, "Okay, well, I do have to getting home, and I was supposed to meet up with Kachan later today. And, like, a little bit of flames do, like, come on his left side." And she's like, "It's not like that, Shoto. He really is like a big brother to me. Plus, we don't live too far from each other." So they do split their ways. They say their goodbyes, and on her way home, she receives a text from Kotsky, and it's like, "Did your date go well? Like, did the plan work out?" And this is when she arrives at the train station, and Katsuki's kind of waiting there for her. And he's like, "Oh, I probably should have just asked you." And she's like, I, I. And then she receives a text, and she looks at her phone, and she begins to blush. And it's like, "Oh, so it went better than what I thought it would. Did you two?" And she's like, "No, we didn't do that. We did kiss." And Shoto laughs like, "Well, that's what I was gonna say, idiot. I wasn't, like, God, like, I wasn't suggesting that." So they kind of laugh, and Sakura asks, like, "How did the training go?" And Katsuki's like, "Huh, it went really well. That Midoriya kid, he's something else." And this is when Sakura kind of says, "Well, if things went according to my plans, I won't be there at the beach that much. I'll be..." And Katsu's like, "Yeah, you'll be hanging out with your boyfriend." And Sakura like, "Shut up!" Like, kind of punching him in the shoulder. And Jason's like, "Ow, that one kind of hurt, Sakura." And Sakura turns and is like, "Man, stop playing around. I know that didn't hurt you." And so they get to where, like, the in-between between their houses. They say their goodbyes. And she gets home. And her mom's there at the door. And she's like, So Sakura, like, am I going to meet this boy?" And Sakura's like, "Katsuki, you jerk. I didn't want to tell Mom yet." And she, like, Sakura kind of smiles and says, "Not yet, Mom. Like, we don't know what..." In this is when Asashi, like, comes in, because I would say by this point Sakura and Inko had moved to the living room, and he's like, "So I guess my little girl's got a boyfriend now." And Sakura kind of, like, blushes, and she's like, I don't, what?" And Inko's like, "Dear, come on, don't pick on her like that. After all, this would be the first boy she likes like that." And Sakura's like, "Mom!" And then Hasashi says, "Well, sweetie, take your time. It seems like it's new to you. Well, I'm not going to push anything, but before I can approve, I am going to have to meet the young man." And Sakura's like, "Yeah, well, we haven't figured out what we are yet." And with that, you beautiful souls, this is the end of this part. I know, I'm sorry this one took so long to get out, but I have been working on this to kind of figure out how I'm going to do this whole date. So with that, like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I will see you beautiful souls in the next video. And the next part in this isn't going to be all sappy. It's actually going to be covering more of training, and a couple of things will happen. So, again, see you beautiful souls in the next video.